QuickTalkSports back again. Aaron Larsuel, Lisa Ann, Nic Goodwin. Please subscribe. Thank you for everybody that has subscribed and is watching all of our videos. We appreciate it, but please subscribe. It's free. And we are going to jump right in. We're going to go to buy or sell fantasy real quick. We're going to just jump right into fantasy because I am so bad at it. I need some help. And actually, we're going to talk about guys. Last week, we talked about some surprising guys that were at the top of the scoring list. This week, we're going to talk about some guys that we thought were going to be there, but haven't. As fate would have it, I happen to have all three of them on my team, so this is going to help me out, but we're going to play a little buy or sell here. So the first one, we're going to start with quarterbacks because everybody starts with quarterbacks because they're so adorable. They're always the best-looking guy on the team, and they get to date all the cheerleaders.
Except he's the best-looking guy on the team?
Oh, no, Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger is not. So buy or sell, Ben Roethlisberger, he has struggled so far. Had three kind of middling performances, as they say. That's a sportscaster's word, middling. Are we buying or are we selling Ben Roethlisberger kind of being an average fantasy quarterback the rest of the way?
This falls in the realm of I can't buy or sell. I have to stream with Big Ben because you don't want to completely sell on Big Ben when you know he still has Antonio Brown.
Yeah, right.
We've seen the emergence of potentially Jesse James. He has Martavis Bryant. And then you got Lev Bell. So he's got what he needs, but he needs to be played at home and he needs to be very matchup dependent. So I would say stream instead of buy or sell. But if you have him, hold, because you don't want him to go off on someone else's team with an Antonio Brown day that could ruin your week matchup.
Right, you have that Antonio Brown, the 6 catches, 180 yards, and 3 touchdown day. Yeah,
you're done.
Yeah, so buy or sell Ben as a kind of, are you buying him the rest of the year or are you selling him, Nick?
I think you got to buy him. I think they're going to put it together. I think the Steelers are my team in the AFC, even over the Patriots, even though the Patriots are still showing that they just are unstoppable when Brady makes a decision that they can win the game. Yeah, exactly.
Remind me to place a wager with you on that. I'd love to.
Oh, this is going to be something else.
Have the Steelers over the Patriots.
Okay, so this is something else now.
Well, I'm going to get more money though. I'm going to get
something else to track throughout all of these shows. All right, so we're going to move along to running back. One of my favorite dudes around. One of my favorites in the league, but just one of my favorites as a guy. Also on my team, in a new spot, coming out of retirement, Marshawn Lynch has a grand total of 1 touchdown and had under 20 yards last week. You know, we didn't think he was going to be a top 5 guy, but maybe a top 10 guy. Are we buying or selling Marshawn the rest of the year in fantasy?
Now's the time to buy Marshawn because you can buy low. There's a lot of owners really desperate to get rid of him. I wouldn't play him this week because he's got the matchup against Denver. So that's another thing. This is a great trigger time to start thinking about less waiver wire action, more trading action. And I look at Marshawn as a great piece right now to add to your team, to have for later when other running backs go down, for a team that needs to get rid of them because they need the bench space to bring on some healthy running backs.
Nick, what are you doing, buying or selling Marshawn?
I never bought him to begin with. I think he's going to be okay. I don't think he's going to be anything special. We have too many emerging running backs this year. The Bears,
Tariq Cohen,
Jordan
Howard.
Yeah.
Jordan Howard was in a sling last week, and then he just goes out there and balls so hard.
Dalvin Cook has been great. And Christian McCaffrey had over 100 yards receiving last week, and Kareem Hunt, obviously, who Lisa has been talking about for weeks.
I'm a Dalvin Cook owner as well.
What happened to your Raiders, man?
Well, you know what's kind of funny, when I was thinking about Marshawn, I think it's something kind of similar with Ezekiel Elliott, who's been pretty ordinary thus far. The Dallas offensive line and the Raiders offensive line were the best two by a wide margin in the NFL, and they've just been ordinary so far. So I don't think those guys are getting the blocking.
Both teams have lost some key components. You know, the Cowboys have lost 2 of their biggest players on their line. And I think that's really added up to be. And also think about this. No one had time to watch tape on Dak last season because it was a last-minute switch-up, right? No one also had that much time to watch tape on Zeke. And the Cowboys are not creative with their play calling. I was just talking to my co-host Monday night about this, and we were thrilled to see Dez go out for a slant, which was a totally different move. And it's like, finally get creative with the play calling. So I see that's really the difference maker for them as well. You're right.
Great point. So... now we're going to move into Julio Jones, who is always my first round pick because I'm in a keeper league, and it is your Atlanta Falcons, who should have lost on Sunday. But we won't get into we won't get into that. Julio Jones has a grand total of 0 touchdowns. His targets are down a little bit. He had 96 yards last week and 80 something the week before, only 50 something in the opener. Julio Jones grand total of 0 touchdowns. Buying or selling, Lisa?
I still got to buy on Julio Jones. I do believe that by week 5, week 6, he's going to really start getting his shares again from Matty Ice. What Matty Ice is doing right now is very clever. Week 1, he handed it all to Austin Hooper. It was only 2 plays, but he broke off that 90-yard run, which really made a difference. You got Mohamed Sanu, who I highly recommended everybody play in DFS last weekend. He was a good price. He got into the end zone. So I just see Matty Ice just spreading it around while Julio has tough matchups. He's got corners covering him that, listen, if he's not open, he's not open.
Right.
But, the ego usually prevails by week 4, week 5, and he will make himself get open.
Right.
He's Julio Jones.
Yeah, and he's Julio's one of those guys that maybe if he's not open, he's still like Julio's one of those dudes that maybe is always open, even if he's double covered. Nick, Julio, buy or sell?
It's going to be a big shocker to you guys, but buy.
Yeah, right. But the Falcons homer wants to buy Julio Jones.
Yeah, imagine that. But, I looked at his targets. Game 1, he had 5 targets. I think game 2, 9 targets. He had 12 the last time. He's getting almost double the amount of targets as the rest of the team. However, you got to look at it. He's getting double covered.
Right.
The coverage is all over him. He's going to figure out a way, like Lisa said, to get out there and get open. And, the Falcon, you've got a brand new offensive coordinator. I think he's doing a great job.
Yes.
This past week, they had a lot of problems because Sanu missed that, the tip ball. We had 2 tip interceptions. I mean, that's just crushed. But like I said, after week 1, the defense coming up with that stop against Chicago did something for him there. Granted, Poole got, barely tackled him. Like that much left. I mean, he still thinks he got in.
He was in.
He was not in.
He was
Come in.
Falcons lose.
Talking about Golden State?
Yeah, Falcons lose.
Falcons lose. He didn't make it. But it still does something to their psyche. They know how to win. It's like USC right now. We're going to go into that here in a second. Actually, do you want me to just go ahead and give you my pick on that one?
Yeah, so because I'm 0-3 in fantasy and it was 3-0 last week in picks, why don't we jump into that because I don't want to talk about fantasy.
Yeah, why don't you guys switch it up?
Yeah, Lisa won. I believe all 192 of her fantasy leagues last week.
17 out of 19.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Well, this is why you listen to Lisa Ann. This is why you come on the show and listen to Lisa Ann. So we'll jump into our quick picks here. We're winning you money. I was 3-0. We won't talk about Nick last week, but we're going to start in college. All of mine are in the NFL this week, so since you have a college one, Nick, why don't you jump into that?
We're going with the team that has the second longest winning streak in college football.
Yeah, behind Oklahoma.
Yeah, USC. I mean, that's like I was saying. They just figure out a way to win. Right now, it's just a winning culture, and I was saying that about when you figure out ways to win those little close games, it just
like the Patriots.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, you just expect they're going to win, which is why Lisa's going to take your money when you bet on the Steelers.
Yeah. I just like it as a dark horse. Well, they're not really that dark. But okay, we're going to get back into USC. They're at Washington State, and Washington State, they're playing ball. I mean, I expect a big game. However, the spread's at -3.5. Buy that half a point if you can. Get it down to -3. I don't see there's going to be Darnold's going to come out there and you're going to have a lot of points in that game. But they're going to find a way in the second half to just run away. They're bigger. They're stronger. They have how many pro-made athletes already on the team.
Yeah,
they tire people out. Fourth quarter comes around and it's a different team because the other team is just beaten up. They can't play with these big, strong dudes from USC. So I like SC.
I don't want to talk about SC fourth quarters. My Cal Bears gave away in the fourth quarter to SC last week, so I don't want to talk about that. But what I will talk about is your team, the Atlanta Falcons, who I think will not cover the 8-point spread against the Buffalo.
9.5.
Oh, you got it's up to 9.5. Yep. Well, then I would like the 9.5. I need to switch books because I wanted it 9.5. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills plus 9.5 now against Nick's Falcons.
Ooh,
I think
that is rich.
Yes, at home in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, 9.5 is too much. Okay. And here's why. I think Atlanta wins the game, but I think that Buffalo, with their rushing attack, with Shady, with Tyrod Taylor, they can run the ball and slow down the clock, eat up some clock. And they will lose, but they will keep it close. I think they lose by 4-7. I think they lose somewhere in that range.
Tyrod will throw a perfectly thrown pass directly into the numbers of Zay Jones, and Zay Jones will drop it.
Oh yeah, no, Buffalo's not going to win the game.
Bless this little rookie's heart, man. He's still sitting on my bench, and I'm a believer. But come on, he's got concrete hands.
Yeah, Buffalo is not going to win the game. Yeah, Amari Cooper.
But I've never been a believer in Amari
Sticks
Cooper.
of butter.
So
So, yeah, I like Buffalo. I think they can kind of go on some long drives that may end up in field goals. But Buffalo plus 9.5 in Atlanta. The 9.5 is just too much.
Mhm.
If this was 5 or 6, you can take Atlanta. But 9.5, I think 8's too much. But 9.5 is definitely too much. So Buffalo plus 9.5 on Sunday. Nick.
I'm going another team that's on the road. You got Florida State at Wake Forest. Interesting game. Florida State, after losing their quarterback, I mean, they just do not look good.
They lose every quarterback because their offensive line is awful.
Oh my God.
Unspeakably bad. Awful.
They are bad. And they're still favored by 7.5 going against a team that's 4-0. Granted, it's still Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons.
Right.
But they're at home. Florida State just lost to NC State. How hard do these guys want to turn their season around? Or are they just going ahead and giving up for the
Yeah, well,
rest of
that's
the year?
you make a good point because Florida State is one of those schools like SC, like Alabama, that they expect to win a national championship every year. So you lose a couple games, they're now 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
You lose a couple games and you're done.
Yeah.
Like a lot of teams will just quit. Oregon did last year. Oregon's one of those schools that's used to winning every week.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they weren't any good and they quit on the year.
Yep.
So you make an interesting point.
Yep. So you can get it at 7.5 right now. Wake Forest at home plus 7.5. I like it.
All right, I got a total for you. The Giants, who we talked about last week and who lost on a 61-yard field goal this week and can't seem to put it together, although Odell being back kind of gave them a jump start. Yep. They are playing the Tampa Bay Bucs. The total is 43.5, and I love the over here. Both teams seem to have figured out they work best in the 2-minute drill, slinging the ball around everywhere. So I think relying on Jameis and Eli, he's going to throw you some touchdowns. He's also going to throw you some picks, which are going to score points for Tampa. So I love the over 43.5, Tampa and the Giants. Go win some money. Nick, your third.
We're going to go with Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that freaking destroyed the Ravens in London. And we're going to talk about that.
Strange things always happen in when guys play in London. And
Here's
coaches get coaches fired.
Listen to
Oh,
this.
wait, no, Lisa, let me turn into this.
A little information you may need to know.
Ooh.
My friends in London seem to believe, in a Skype conversation on Saturday night with them, that Jacksonville is their home team. It seems to think
That's right,
that
yeah.
Jacksonville also believes that is their home team. And so the Ravens did not go and check out the stadium until an hour before the game, whereas Jacksonville has specially designed cleats and equipment and things that they bring. And also Jacksonville is prepared to adjust to the time difference. This is something they've done multiple times.
Jacksonville's so bad they get sent to England all the time.
They've established a routine, and that's what affected the Ravens is they had not established a routine.
Was Mercedes Lewis ready to go or what?
Yeah, now listen, Mercedes Lewis has had 3 touchdowns in an entire 3-year career, not including last week. So he still does not deserve to be on your fantasy team. If you are looking to pick up a tight end because you had maybe Tyler Eifert or Travis Kelce with 1 catch for 1 yard, I could have just fallen forward and gotten 2. You need to look at Ryan Griffin in Texas. I think, I picked him up, didn't have the courage to play him, and he got into the end zone. So it was like 17 points I was thrilled with. I'm going to plug and play him this week, so you guys should look for him as opposed to getting yourself in that hot mess and thinking that Jacksonville's going to give another touchdown this season to Lewis.
Well, I had to give that shout out to my boy Richard Post. He does. I'll make sure you see this, Richard. He's really good buddies with him, and they have some business they're doing together. So, but I hope they do go to Mercedes Lewis because I want them to beat a team that is not, like you guys said earlier. You expect the Jets to win 2 games in a row.
I don't expect the Jets to win 2 games this season.
2 games in a row?
2 in a row? No.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about last week that...
Why did they win last week? Why did they have to do that like that?
Cutler.
Why? Yeah, they didn't win as much as Miami lost. And then that garbage time touchdown was like... It made fantasy people at least gasp for a little bit of life support, because people played Cutler in DFS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I might play him this week instead of Roethlisberger, but yes.
Well, I like -3. I like Jags -3. Just for that reason alone. The Jets are horrible.
The Jets are awful.
Yeah, so they're not going to win 2 in a row. If they do, I'll be shocked. So -3 field goal. So I expect maybe 10 points.
So my third one is the Sunday night game. Speaking of awful, both teams are awful.
Mm-hmm.
Seattle and Indianapolis.
Woo! This is going to be such a great watch, right?
They're both
standalone game, the game we get to focus on.
Right.
And it's going to be like, what? Nothing.
Yeah, it's going to be awful.
The offenses on both sides are horrendous.
Well, and that's a great point, and everybody should be terrified about Jacoby Brissett, who now has, I think, 3 career starts going up against the Seattle defense. But you're right, both teams are awful. Both offenses specifically are awful.
You got Dougie Baldwin dealing with a little bit of an injury.
And which is why
I would say
yes.
playing Chris Carson all day long this week.
Yes.
All day long, Chris Carson will be your running back in Seattle because you know there's no defense for him to be bucking up against, and he's going to get the rock this week.
So both teams are awful. Both offenses are awful, which is why I am not giving up 13.5 points. I will take the Colts plus 13.5 against Seattle and watch this game finish 10-6 and collect my money. I'm not sure Seattle can score 13.5 points this week.
I don't either.
They're just like...
But what about Wilson getting 50 points or so on fantasy this past week, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the great thing about fantasy is the points at the end of that real game aren't what matter. It's the amount of airtime that ball has. It's the amount of receptions that are happening. It's the amount of targets he's usually got. Tyler Lockett getting in the mix a little bit. You know, Doug Baldwin shining like he does. Richardson, like they got some.
And quarterback rushing yards are kind of a big unknown. That's like the big kind of unknown. You know, they talk about it in the NFL or in college football, the kicking game. That's all that like kind of unseen yardage, but that's what it is for quarterbacks in fantasy running the ball. You kind of get a little boost in otherwise not great performances. So there it is. It's 13.5. Take Indy 13.5. I think the game finishes like 10-6.
I don't want to watch a Sunday night game that's 10-6.
They've been bad, and we thought that the Thursday night game, they've all been bad except last week. We thought it was going to be bad, but the Niners-Rams was very entertaining. Yeah, it was very entertaining. So we are going to get out of here. That's Nic Goodwin. This is Lisa Ann. I shouldn't even mention my name. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say that's Lisa Ann again. Go subscribe to Quick Talk Sports on YouTube. Watch us on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you see us. We appreciate it, but please subscribe. And we will later in the week. We're going to have Lisa's going to do some waiver wire stuff for fantasy. Nick will have some more soccer picks, and you know, if there's any breaking injury news in fantasy or just we see a line that looks a little off, we'll shoot out a quick video that you will only see on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe. Thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.